You know, that's odd that Ken has
It's a big thing.
told us.
Yeah, it's something to do with how it's in line.
No.
Yeah, honest to God.
The planet's alignment affects your computer?
Yeah, it's like workers and retrograde, everything.
No, you're
And then
you're telling me.
I'm gonna email it to you.
Yes, because
It's true, and it's true.
see, that goes to the brain surgery and the expanding universe. This is stuff I just can't get my mind around today.
Pete, whenever you're ready, it's 9.
Ready? Okie dokie. Today's meeting of the Neighborhood and Affordable Housing Advisory Board is called to order on July 9th, 2019. Welcome, everyone. Agendas of today's meetings are on the wall at the entrance to the chambers. Please remember to turn off your cell phones. To ensure a complete record of the board's actions, we ask that each individual wishing to speak clearly state your name and spell your last name for the clerk. I will ask the board members to introduce themselves in a moment, but I would first like to recognize that we have a new board member with us today. Camille Hepting is the Sales and Marketing Manager with the Clearwater Ferry. She is also very active with the Clearwater Chamber of Commerce and the Beach Chamber as well. She currently serves as chairperson of the Clearwater Young Professionals, which operates under the Clearwater Regional Chamber of Commerce. So Camille, please lead us off and introduce yourself and state the field you represent.
Okay, good morning. My name is Camille Hepting. I'm the Sales and Marketing Manager for Clearwater Ferry Services and the Tropics Boat Tours, both are sister companies. Like you stated, I've been involved with the Clearwater Regional Chamber of Commerce for a little while, and I chair the Clearwater Young Professionals, and I represent the employers in Clearwater for this board.
Thank you. I would now like to ask the other board members to introduce themselves and identify the fields you each represent.
Peggy Cutcomb for real estate.
Peter Scalia for low income.
Linda Kemp, mortgage banking.
Carmen Santiago for the people.
If you want to introduce yourself.
Thank you.
Trip Lane, Assistant Director, Economic Development and Housing Department.
Denise Sanderson, Director, Economic Development and Housing.
Kim DuPont, HUD Administrator.
Our first order of business is to review and approve the minutes of the board's May 14th, 2019 meeting. May I have a motion of approval?
I make a motion that we approve the minutes from May 14, 2019.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. If there's anyone here to speak to items not on today's agenda? No? If not, please step up to the podium, state your name, spell your name for the record. You have 3 minutes to speak on a subject that is not on today's agenda. Okay. Seeing no one come forward, we will move on to the next item. Item 4, new business. Recommend City Council approval of the City of Clearwater's fiscal year 2019-2020 annual action plan, which is the 4th action plan of the FY 2016-2017 through 2019-2020 4-year consolidated plan, to implement the goals and objectives set forth in the consolidated plan as required by HUD as submitted. Ms. DuPont.
Yeah, hi. My name's Kimberly DuPont. I'm the HUD Programs Administrator, and I'll be presenting a brief PowerPoint on the Housing Division's proposed annual action plan. Since this is a public meeting and we have a new board member, we wanted to go over what recommendations were made at a prior NAHAB meeting. As you are aware, the City of Clearwater receives Home Investment Partnerships Program funds and Community Development Block Grant funds from the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development. The city is required to submit a consolidated plan outlining our goals and objectives for administration of these funds. The City Council approved the 4-year consolidated plan in 2016, and the consolidated plan typically covers 5 years, but we opted to submit a 4-year plan to align with Pinellas County's planning cycle. Under the consolidated plan, the city is required to submit an annual action plan. The consolidated plan establishes goals and objectives, and the annual action plan identifies those activities that will be funded in a given year that are in line with those goals and objectives. The annual action plan provides for safe, decent, and affordable new and existing owner-occupied and rental-occupied low to moderate income housing. Funds also assist in the construction and renovation of public facilities, fund public service programs, and facilitate economic development. There are numerous steps to the annual action plan process that starts in February, where the 30-day application period begins and ends with submission of the annual action plan to HUD by August 15th. Applicants are fully vetted by the Technical Review Committee, the NAHAB, and the public. Once the board approves the recommendations made by staff today, the remaining 2 steps are to review any public comments received and City Council approval, whereupon the Housing Department will submit the plan to HUD for approval. The funding the Housing Department uses is comprised of entitlement dollars, which is the program year grant amount. For fiscal year 1920, the city was notified that we would receive approximately $764,000, which is a 3.11% increase from last year in CDBG funding, and approximately almost $384,000, which is less than 0.5% increase in the home program funding. The Housing Department received 13 applications under Public Services. Staff recommends funding all 13 public service applicants. Applicants were awarded funding based on the Technical Review Committee's rankings. Public services are funded utilizing a 3-tiered system and is subject to 15% of CDBG entitlement. And for fiscal year 1920, the cap amount is $114,606. Public service, as you can see, includes many activities: intercultural advocacy, Pinellas Opportunity Council, HEP, etc. The total amount that we would recommend awarding is $104,103. $15,000 in CDBG funding was awarded to CNHS, Tampa Bay CDC, and Bright Community to provide homebuyer education and counseling for a grand total of $114,603. The Housing Department received 3 applications and 1 pending application for under public facilities. Staff recommends funding all 4 public facilities. As you can see, they include Directors for Living, HEP, RCS Safe House, and Kimberly Home, totaling $293,297. Administrative delivery costs is the portion of the entitlement for staff salaries, benefits, and other allowable expenses. CDBG's cap is 20% of entitlement, and Home's cap is 10% of entitlement. Economic development microenterprise funds are utilized to develop and support businesses primarily in the neighborhood revitalization strategy areas, to include grants, loans, technical assistance, and facade improvements. Housing Department staff recommends $140,000 was budgeted for economic development activities. Housing pool activities include acquisition, down payment assistance, and loan processing. The city received 4 applications and recommends approving all 4 applications for a total of slightly over $1 million. Housing pool future budgeted activities are activities that we anticipate that will be forthcoming in fiscal year 1920 in the form of acquisitions, new construction, and rehabilitation. We budgeted approximately $1.8 million for such future projects. The Housing Department is utilizing 2 CDBG revolving loan funds, rehabilitation and infill, and we planned and budgeted $505,000 for future acquisition, new construction, and rehabilitation activities. And lastly, requirements of the home program state that 15% of the entitlement received must be set aside for community housing development organizations. They're commonly known as a CHODO. A CHODO is certified on a per project basis, and while HUD has suspended the requirement for fiscal year 1920, the Housing Division has set aside $57,597 if a project were to come to fruition. Do you have any questions?
I do, Kim. Just one, on the 1.8 million that we have, how many number of units? That was all for housing, right?
It's all for housing, yes. I can go to my...
Is there an estimate number of,
Yes.
of units?
Can I go to my...
Sure, yeah, please.
Should have brought this with me. The approximately, I can add this up, approximately 48 units.
And then we're projecting, hopefully we'll have
Right,
those
and then there'll be
next
8
year,
for the
right?
miracles that we know
Right,
of,
right. So,
and 2 for CNHS.
okay,
And then 1 for the children.
so we're almost at 60 units. That's
That
pretty
includes
good.
a wide range of activities.
Yes. Well,
That's
we have
pretty good.
multifamily land acquisition, multifamily rehab, multifamily new construction, owner-occupied new construction, owner-occupied land acquisition, and yes, those take, and then, of course, the revolving loans.
I'd say that's a pretty good accomplishment. I mean, you've got almost 60 units going on out there. That's a great job. Thank you.
Can never be enough, though.
No, but still, what a big, strong headway we're making.
We leverage, Pete, about, typically about 8 to 1, private to public investment. Obviously, we'd like to see even more. But do what you
Hey,
can.
progress is being made. That's the important thing. That's all I had. Anybody else have any other questions for Kim? Thanks, Kimberly. May I have a motion to approve the plan?
All right, I make a motion to approve the City Council of the Clearwater's FY 2019-2020 Annual Action Plan.
And could I have a second?
I'll
second it.
Camille, second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Motion carried unanimously. Does the board have any old or new business to discuss? Camille, you want to bring anything new in here? Are there any comments from the audience? The floor is yours.
I have a question.
Please.
As I,
Could you step up and give us your name, please?
My name is Brian Beckman. I live here in Clearwater. As I see the different, Beckman? Thanks. The different monies that are allocated across the different organizations, I wonder whether there is a portion of that money that is or could be oriented to helping people save on their utility bills. I don't know if that's something that is automatically part of that plan, or if it's not, if organizations that want to help people lower their energy bills, like through energy efficiencies, of whether that is something that those monies can help them, whether it's the organizations that provide the services, or whether it's the individual renters or homeowners, or whether there's things that can be done to help them realize long-lasting savings year over year through energy efficiencies, for instance. So I don't know if that's part of what those services might be.
So, first of all, the monies we use, we deal with the end user, the homeowner or the tenant, very seldom. We deal with these folks mostly through our partners. Okay, so that's how, when we deal directly with the community, the people, it's through a down payment assistance program, through a home rehabilitation program. Otherwise, we're generally working through partners. Now, we don't have that as an activity. We don't have utility assistance as an activity at this time. It's not in our program. And
I'm not sure that we could.
I'm not sure that we could either. And that's something we can check into.
I do know that hi, Denise Anderson, by the way. I do know that our Public Utilities Department has a program for for water payments and things like that. So that is a program available. And in Pinellas County, PACE legislation passed last year. It's currently passed for commercial users. And but residential users, the residential program is sort of hanging out there. They're working through some details. But what the PACE legislation does is it allows for the investment of energy efficiency programs and services. So it could be solar, it could be windows, it could be AC, a number of different things, water saving devices, et cetera. And then the cost of that investment is transferred to the homeowner through property tax increases over time. There has been some information that should it be approved in Pinellas County for residential users, that it will not be an allowable use of funds for us. So what I mean by that is a homeowner who pursues PACE legislation or PACE funding would not be able to piggyback off of that with rehab dollars, if you will. So what I would love to see but cannot do is to be able to rehabilitate someone's home and then use PACE money to pay for some of those very expensive items so that we can fully bring that home up to code while making energy efficiency improvements. Unfortunately, we've been informed that we cannot do that. We cannot have an encumbrance on that home, such as PACE, while bringing in federal dollars. So I'm not quite sure, I know I'm not really answering your questions. There are things out there, but it does get tricky once we get into sort of this regulatory environment.
Yeah, I think you hit on one specific example there from a rehab standpoint. So when I think of rehabbing, there's a whole bunch of things that could be done on someone's home. But to make something that's long-lasting, where they could cut their energy bill in half, for instance, and save themselves money, it would be great if some of that rehab money could be helping them in that vein. So I don't know, I'm familiar with the PACE program, familiar with Solar Energy Loan Fund and other opportunities that are available. What I wasn't sure about whether for example, the rehab portion might be able to help somebody that way.
Yeah, I think we of course try to find opportunities for energy efficiencies. Our first obligation is that the house is code compliant. And so very often that's what we're addressing first. So that could mean roof and windows, it usually does. And then there's interior improvements that typically follow. It could be an ADA issue where we're making an ADA bathroom or ramps or other improvements to a home as well. So some of those things trump other opportunities.
Something else I'd like to add, if I could, utility assistance, you can liken it to rental assistance, and it's just an expenditure. We have limited funding, and as Denise mentioned earlier, we use that funding to leverage other funds. And our funds are generally given in the form of loans. So that money goes out, it comes back in. We're able to use the same dollar over and over again to help different people. So with a direct expenditure like rental assistance or utility assistance, that money is a one-time shot. So we try to focus on loans and trying to have that money come in and out over and over again. As many people as we can.
What I do think would be interesting though is if a nonprofit came forward through our application process for public services, and that's, if they were focused on energy efficiency improvements as a nonprofit organization, we could certainly help fund that organization, providing salary, benefits, kind of expenses to, like we have for the number of folks, public services that you saw on that list. We just simply have not had a not-for-profit come forward requesting that kind of thing.
Yeah, I'll investigate that further. I volunteer with the Sierra Club, and I lead renewable energy programs throughout the county. One of the things that we've done with Sierra is work with YMCA in St. Petersburg, donating light bulbs, about $3,000 worth of light bulbs. It'll save them about $10,000 a year in their electricity bill. So I look at the list of nonprofits that are providing services that I saw in the presentation earlier. That's an opportunity for Sierra to help those organizations out to save on their regular expenditures. But I hadn't thought about or hadn't pursued the way to help individual renters or homeowners. So yeah, I'll have to investigate that further.
Well, phone meeting, I'll be happy to give you my contact information.
Sure. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Delane, do you have anything to report?
Yeah, a couple things.
Oh, is this woman monitor?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I apologize.
I'm Kathleen Beckman, Brian's better half. I just have kind of a foundational question. What is your working definition of affordable housing in Clearwater? How would you define what affordable housing is? So when we're talking about a variety of affordable housing for our residents, what are the parameters? What does that mean?
So we have to work through HUD's definition. Even the state funding source and the county money, it's based on how HUD defines it.
Okay.
HUD identifies area median income. Okay, and that's the Tampa, Clearwater, St. Pete area.
Okay,
So, and what we do is our funding sources are based on a percentage of area median income. Most of our funding sources, we have to restrict it to people at 80% or below of area median income.
okay.
Um,
And so if I understand when I've looked up some stats on Clearwater, our median income is like 44,000? Is it based on something like that, or it's a larger geographical region?
There's different resources that'll give you different amounts. But what I have here is the posted limits. Now, it's based on, it's household income.
Okay,
So it's based on how many people you have in your home.
mm-hmm,
So when we generally speak of it, we talk about a family of four. So a family of four, 80% of area median income is 53.5. 3 people, 48,150. 2 people, 42.8. A single person is 37,450. So those are the limits that we're bound with at this point.
okay. And that's their net income, right?
That's total household income.
Total household
Gross
income, okay.
And we have the state funds that we get, SHIP, State Housing
Mhm,
Initiative
yep.
Program, that allows us to go up to 120%. It's a higher bracket that we can work with them. But our state money, unfortunately, is reducing because of our legislative decisions.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Great question.
Thank you. Mr. Lane?
A couple things. Want to welcome our new board member. We met yesterday. She's very excited. I think she'll bring a new perspective and energy to what I think is already a fantastic board. So I want to thank you all for that. We just recently foreclosed on a site in North Greenwood. It's about 0.36 acres. It's right on North MLK, kind of catty corner from Cherry Harris Park. We're working on an RFP, going to get that out on the street for a multifamily project. So I just want to let you all know about that. We have a handful of developers that have shown interest in it, so it's really a good timing to put that out on the street. Probably get it out in August. It requires council approval because it's city-owned land at this time. There's a couple of other multifamily projects we're working on. They're kind of in the preliminary stages, so they're not really for public consumption yet, but I think there's some exciting opportunities coming our way. The 2 tax credit projects that we have under construction, Madison Point, Woodlawn Trail, both are still scheduled to lease up in August. So that's 160 units that will be immediately available later this year, and those are 100% affordable projects. And those income levels are at 60% and below. So 90% of those units are at 60% and below, and there's a 10% set aside for 30% of AMI and below. We are making some changes to our down payment assistance program. We have previously required the lender's fees not to exceed 2%, and that's become very tight. So what we've done is we've changed that to a maximum of 4%. That's consistent with the county and with what Largo's doing at this time. If any board members have any comments on anything I'm saying, please feel free. We're changing, HUD has made some changes with their home rule. So what we're doing with our loan amount is, we used to give across the board a $20,000 DPA as long as they qualified. Now we're doing an assessment as to really what the need is. So we're just going to bring to the table what's necessary to close the deal. So we're looking at what they're pre-qualified for, what the purchase price is, closing costs, and we're doing that calculation. So a DPA may come in at $15,000 or $14,000, whatever it takes to get the deal done, not more than that. So we're making that change to our policy.
Is there a cap on that DPA? Is it still 20?
Our policy is 20 for existing.
Okay.
45 for new construction.
And that's 20,000, 20%.
$20,000 for existing, $45,000 for new construction. Just an update, not necessarily an affordable housing issue, but North Ward School. I've been the lead on negotiating that acquisition. It's under contract. We're supposed to close in June, but apparently I'm not very good at what I do. We've had to delay the closing. North Ward was acquired with various deeds over the last 100 years. And when you deal with old deeds, you deal with title, you deal with legal prescriptions that really don't pass muster. So we have some gaps and some boundary issues that we're working through with the surveyor, full confidence that we'll get it done. Probably looking at closing in August, so that's exciting. And what we want there is we want an adaptive reuse project at that site. Now, whether or not that's feasible.
I'm sorry, say that again, Chuck?
We'd like to have an adaptive reuse project at that
Okay.
site. What that means is you're taking a school and you're utilizing the structure, you're preserving the historic, characteristics of that structure, but you use it for another purpose. Maybe South Ward is a perfect example. Now it's a museum. It used to be a school, now it's a beautiful museum. So that's an example of an adaptive reuse project. So whether or not it's feasible at North Ward remains to be seen, but that's the target.
Do you have a concept for that right now?
We don't. We're going to do an analysis. We're hiring an architect to do an analysis of what that structure can be and what the opportunities are and the potential. That'll help us. That should put us in head us in the right direction. Anytime anyone shows interest, we have the conversation. We let them know that we're open to what they have to say and what their concepts are. So it'll take a little while, but if we can achieve what we hope to achieve there, it'll be a great thing for that community.
Do you think it's realistic to expect affordable housing units in there, although it's like waterfront and prime and all of that?
Yeah, there have been projects like that at schools throughout the country where they've brought in affordable housing. It's possible. I'm not ruling anything out at this point. There are challenges. There's very little, right now there's just 2 small bathrooms in that place. It's not built like a school is today where it's just, there are limitations from a structural, architectural perspective. So, but yeah, I'd certainly be open to that if a developer came with that concept. Let's see. Right now, our director Denise is working on a joint review committee for Penny 4. Penny 4 has a set aside that over the next 10 years will generate about $160 million to be distributed equally between economic development projects and affordable housing projects. So Denise is sitting on the joint review committee to identify and figure out the rules on how we distribute those funds. If you want to add anything to that, Denise?
Yeah, so the committee was seated in February. We began our work I believe, in March, April timeframe. We have to complete it. It was initially slated for completion in August. That's been pushed a little bit. We'll complete our work in probably early October. The recommendations that the committee is making will go to the Board of County Commissioners on November the 12th. As Chuck said, this is approximately $160 million over 10 years. On the affordable housing side, approximately $80 million. The limitations to that per statute is that it can be used only for land acquisition, and the land must remain in government ownership or in the trustee of the government. So in this case, for affordable housing, that trustee is a housing finance authority. Many of you may know Catherine Driver. The rules under which she'll be able to utilize those funds is what we'll be focusing on. And recently, SB Friedman and HDR are consultants that the Pinellas County Economic Development, Pinellas County hired to do a housing study. And so in November, I'd like to bring forward to NAHAB that study. I may be able to get it out to you in advance so that you can review it, but I'll bring it forward and we'll put it in context. Right now, the same consultants are also doing the economic development component of the study. And then together, those 2 studies will inform the Joint Review Committee in its rulemaking and guidelines. So I'm very excited to see the outcome of the study in its entirety. The housing information was pretty terrific in that they're looking at the age of home, the type of home, size, et cetera. They're looking at income barriers, a whole host of things, alignment with transit corridors. But they also looked at the region as well. At what point are people leaving our community to go to the suburbs north or east of us or south of us to be able to afford a larger home, as an example? And what does that do to, well, traffic, obviously, but what does that do perhaps for our best and brightest employees? Are we losing those to other counties? That's some of the information I expect will come from the economic development study. So in November, I'll bring that forward. I don't want to get too far ahead of Board of County Commissioners, but by the time we have our November or December meeting, should we cancel November for some reason, the Board of County Commissioners will either have in their possession or will have voted on those guidelines, so bring it forward at that time.
And as for our next meeting, it doesn't appear we'll need a meeting in August, and perhaps not in September either, but if any significant projects come up where we're seeking board's feedback, we'll schedule. But we'll let you know, certainly officially, within the next couple of weeks, within the next 2 weeks on the next meeting, whether or not we're going to have that, so we'll keep you posted on that. That's all I have.
Thank you, Chair.
Chuck, may I add one thing that just came to my mind? Can we talk about Yo Mama's Foods? Mostly in that we weren't able to help them, and why? This sort of catch-22 we find ourselves in?
I don't know if any of you have heard of Yo Mama's. It's a very young company. They produce and distribute pasta sauce, various flavors of pasta sauce, and it's excellent. I've had it. So they came to us and through the economic development window that we have, and we're asking about where we can provide assistance. And on the ED side, we're very limited. But what they were doing, they were looking to buy, I guess, a distribution site, really headquarters site in North Greenwood, right on Eldridge Street. So in North Greenwood, we have a pocket of IRT zone land, it's industrial research technology, which is suitable for that kind of project. And from an ED perspective, IRT land is very valuable because it creates jobs. So they came in and they were seeking our assistance. From an ED perspective, it was really very difficult for us to do. But them setting up shop in North Greenwood in one of our NRSAs, neighborhood revitalization strategy areas, now it opened up the window, okay, we might be able to use CDBG money. So we looked into helping them with acquisition. And the problem with that was with CDBG money for this type of project, we need to do a phase 1 environmental analysis. Their bank wasn't requiring them to do a phase 1. So when it comes to some simple real estate stuff, you don't find out what's in the dirt unless you have to, particularly before you close on a piece of property, because that can cause problems. So they opted to go ahead and close without our assistance. And now we're looking to help them on the back end with a facade loan, which will require also a phase 1 environmental analysis. But now that they've closed on the property, it won't interrupt their financing in order to buy that piece they already own and clear. So it's really exciting. It's a young company. They're going to hire folks within that community. They're very community focused. I think it's a great thing for that neighborhood. So it's very, very exciting.
Yeah, I think that one of the challenges, there's many, but one of the challenges we had, and Kim, you speak to this from a regulatory perspective, is, so we've got industrial land, and most industrial land, particularly old industrial land, is dirty, right? It has something on it. This happens to sit right alongside railroad tracks, which are notoriously bad, and yet we cannot use federal money to help acquire that site. We're restricted from doing so when we know that it's dirty. So the very thing we hope to accomplish in that community, revitalization of industrial property so that we can create jobs for folks in that community, that kind of thing, we're restricted from doing so with our federal dollars. And of course, our state dollars aren't utilized for that. So it's this vicious cycle. We do have some brownfield money that we may be able to put toward this project to help clean up some of the dirt, if you will. There's likely asbestos in the building and things like that too. So we may be able to provide some support from another pot of money altogether. But in moving through the steps with this project, we ran into this brick wall, if you will, of environmental concern that potentially could have really damaged this deal. And so unfortunately, this young company, they started business on Mother's Day in 2017. They currently distribute to 1,700 stores nationwide, and they're one of Amazon's preferred vendors. YoMamasFood.com, by the way. If it's not in your mama's kitchen, it's not in the jar. Y-O Mama's Food. Terrific little company. We have very high hopes for what they're doing going forward. And the acquisition of this site will help leverage additional activity for them, additional sales. What they have done to date is they use 3 co-packing facilities in Tarpon Springs and Clearwater to produce their sauces and salad dressings now, and ship directly from those locations, but for their Amazon fulfillments. Those come to them, and then they repackage those for Amazon fulfillments. It has really impacted their freight costs, so in pursuing this now warehouse, they'll be able to bring all product in and distribute directly from there to all 1,700 locations nationwide. So it will reduce their freight. Eventually, they hope to bring production into that facility as well, creating even more jobs. So the CEO, David Habib, is intently focused on smart growth for this business. I was very impressed with his business plan. So we have a lot of hopes for that. But I think what impressed me most is when I met him, he and his partners in this, employees, had been at RCS serving food the weekend before. So you know, they are definitely in this community and they want to support it. So we'd like to be able to do all that we can, but we just run into very real issues regarding regulations.
Denise, can I ask you a question on that IRT land?
Yes.
If I understood you right, if that was privately owned, let me pose it this way. If a private developer was to buy that land and put something on there like a VOTEC school, is that something that could be done and you could avoid having to worry about dirty land?
You never have to address dirty land unless your unless your lender is requiring it, or unless the EPA or DEP is requiring it. So you've got tanks in the ground, things like that, right? If you're,
Right.
So depending on what's going on with your property, as a property owner, you're not able to take advantage of brownfield funds if you're the culprit, if you're the one that created the mess.
Okay, so a new guy comes in and pays cash for
Yep.
enough land to put a VOTEC school on.
I don't know that a VOTEC is, depending on what it is, might require institutional zonings, which is different than industrial, although when you get into some of these trades, I'm not sure how our code looks at those.
It's possible. I'd have to.
Okay.
But the same restrictions apply regarding use of federal funds if an environmental concern is there. So Kim has to go through and do an environmental review record, and if something flags that it requires a phase 1 or phase 2 or cleanup. You know, phase 1 is basically a title search, phase 2 is borings to test, and then there's cleanup. If those things are required, any of those things is going to restrict our ability to use federal funds to support a project
Okay,
until it's all remediated.
okay.
I got a question too. This has been, I've been thinking about this for quite a bit. There was a piece of land on MLK, right down the street from Rita's. It's on the right-hand side. It's sitting vacant for years now, and I know that was dirty land because I think it was a motor oil company or something that was in that position. So Brownfields has been trying to clean that up. I just wonder if there's anything else that can be done with that land.
Are you referring to the former Clearwater auto salvage place?
Probably.
Yeah.
That's the one that they put that banner to make it look nicer.
Yeah. Chuck, do you want to speak to that?
Yeah, that's clean.
Okay.
We put brownfield money into that. We got an SRCO, which is a site rehabilitation completion order.
Okay.
It's clean. It's a clean bill of health. Right now, we're working on putting out, the CRA is working on putting out an RFP for housing on that site.
Okay.
Hopefully a project that gets very close to maximum density. Maximum density at that site is 35 units an acre. It's 3+ acres. We're looking at 150, 160 potential units with a mix of income, workforce, affordable, low income, the whole gamut.
And that's with the density boost, Chuck?
I don't know that they'll need the density boost. I think they're hovering just under what's entitled with zoning. We're also looking at, I think the CRA is interested in assisting the project to the point where they can put in structured parking. Because when you get to that level of density on any development site, you can't do it without structured parking. You can't have surface parking at 35 units an acre. It just doesn't make sense. So it's something that between maybe some minor funding that we can bring through housing and CRA, And also the county land trust, I think, is interested. It's something we're very excited about, and I think it's a very real possibility that we could have a commitment on that site within the next 6 months. So if I'm not mistaken, it's the site we're talking about, it's kind of catty corner from the NOAA. They can, and you said, yes, it had the banner on it.
It had a banner that ran around, just like they did up on Cleveland Street, they had a banner
Yeah,
over
exactly.
there
That's the
to
site.
make it more feasible for people coming through. It doesn't look like a piece of vacant land.
200-300 block of South MLK.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Pretty exciting.
And remember, directly across the street from that is the 80 units that is for senior affordable housing that's opening up by end of August.
Yeah, because that was always stuck in my craw that, you know, I knew we were trying to clean it up, and I just wondered how far along we had gotten with that.
That's good to go.
Are there any board members to be heard? I will start to my right for comments. Member Santiago? Member Kemp?
No.
I got none.
Yeah,
Camille? No? Then I would say that tentatively, our next NAHB meeting is scheduled for August 13th at 9 a.m., but there's some question whether we'll meet here in the council chambers. And that will adjourn the meeting for today.
Thank you so much.
Ta-da.